Hello again. So, this is another, I guess, the second entry in the Hello Again series. October's October's come and gone. And now it is winter. So, indulge my melodrama, please. So, no, considering that one of my cornerstone interests is like movies and media and such, like November is a very nebulous month in and of itself. It is something like okay, because in October you have, like it's horror. It's made like it's and this is like universally culturally considered like the beginning of like autumn is the sort of like not to get like too spiritual or anything, but like where the natural world is starting to come to a rest or it is becoming dormant. And so like okay, so you have all of these like ideas about rest, and then in deep winter sort of like well, once again, not trying to be like overly spiritual or anything, but like passage or like death, because that's why we have our renewal. Like we're in the last cycle of the year, and like this from November, really, it is just like an extended segue to New Year's, really, and it's like okay, you have your horror movies and horror related media in October. In December, you have Christmas and or holiday related, like media like there. But like November, like it's admittedly it's technically a holiday month because like I know that like in Canada, the United States, and like also parts of like the United Kingdom as well, they also like celebrate Thanksgiving for very like different reasons than the reasons that were more or less like established here for many countless generations here, but like it's where you have 9 months out of the year where it's just kind of like a media free for all. You can just kind of like watch like whatever. It feels like it's like you have a set, very specific kind of, like this is what we're supposed to see, like in October, and then like we have these like okay, these are the things that we either revisit nostalgically or we're supposed to. I don't want people to think that I only color inside the lines. Okay, but like November is just like it's one of those things like like there's because technically it's a holiday month, but like there's not any specific. I was like okay, like a few years ago I did this was before the pandemic. Okay, I want to stress that as much as possible because this is a buddy of mine. We like post-apocalyptic stuff like movies and things like that, and I said like okay, and that was kind of like my stand-in for like Thanksgiving. Like at least this isn't our world. At least like we're not facing a crippling disaster with monumentous like impact on everyone. So couldn't do that. Couldn't do that for the last couple of years. Like really. I won't. I don't feel like revisiting that again. I'm not going to get people's hopes up or things like that. I just like I look at disaster media like with a whole new lens now, as I think like many people do. But I mean, it's like still, it's just like not one of those things like oh, okay, sort of the what if possibilities. It's like I find like and like yeah, I'm still a fan of like the Mad Max and like those types of like the canon films, like the exaggerated people on dune buggies, and this is the last like vestiges of like mankind and like that. Like, yeah, that's like, there's still like value like in that. But I think with like the post-apocalyptic like subgenre, I think like for myself, I can only like say for myself. But yeah, it's not really something that's like, okay, this is casual viewing. Like at this point, like, what if, like. And it's hard for me to even like complete my thoughts like with that particular like topic because, it's been just like the last couple of years have been an ordeal, And I say this, I'm saying this very soberly because I don't want to seem flippant, reductive, or dismissive of like everything. So, like I said, even though I do sometimes revisit like those like films and not so much TV shows like anymore. That stopped being like produced. Like I think post-apocalyptic TV shows, like I think there will always be kind of like around. But for the longest time, it was the zombie apocalypse, and that was just like just this year, as of the filming of this episode, just this year, The Walking Dead, I think is wrapping up its 10th or its 11th. I only got into season 2. I was a little bit on board for like when they brought like Daryl and his brother on and like that, and they've been like some of the Daryl, Michonne, like been like the flagship like characters. Grimy Rick annoyed me, like, to no end. Whatever. It's like, and I know that there was, like, a few years ago, there was a season, though, they liquidated a majority of, like, the characters from the cast, and I think part of it was that the actors just, like, wanted out. Anyways, before I get off onto a Walking Dead tangent, even that it's finally, it's being put to rest, Just like yeah. So I mean, like, if you watch The Walking Dead and you enjoy it, okay. I'm in no way, shape, or form like judging The Walking Dead like audience. In general, I don't find that like a tasteful practice. Like even for something that, even if I strongly dislike it, I'm not looking at the audience. I know that that's something that very divisive content creators and like people that like do just like different things like that, like they'll blame the audience, or is it like, well, like, man, I'm tired of this, and man, if it wasn't for their fans we wouldn't have this. Like, just chill, all right? Just let people, like, for the most part, I think we should be able to just let people enjoy what they want to enjoy, like that. And like as of like now, I think it's like season 10 or 11 that's finally wrapping up. But that used to be like the go-to topic for post-apocalyptic like media. It's like, oh, what if there's a zombie plague, and that's what it's like. Oh, plague? No, okay, like understandable hot zone. I mean, hot button issue for very good reasons. And this will be like whether some people choose to recognize it or not. This has been a very significant chapter for not just here for us in the States, like it's for people all over the world. So I mean, just like post-apocalyptic media just doesn't really have that kind of like appeal. I think there will be like a little bit like project maybe like here and there, maybe talking about other possible like, I don't know, climate or alien invasion or like something where it's like, okay, we have to start over from scratch. Maybe. I mean, technically Adventure Time. I don't know if y'all ever watched that show. Like, but technically that was a post-apocalyptic sci-fi fantasy D&D sort of thing. But it was post-apocalyptic was kind of like thrown in there, like with a number of the different like storylines and plot lines that they had going on in there. But yeah, but yeah, it's just rather like nebulous. Like in terms of media, it's just like, okay, it's kind of like do your own thing. And then sort of like get into the comfortable nostalgia of like the typical things that we watch in like December and like that. So, but yeah, as far as like the biggest thing that I'm looking forward to this month is at the very, very end of this month and that is the new Willow series premiering on Disney Plus. I recently got myself a Disney Plus account, and there's a lot, like, I mean, especially for, like, if you're into, like, nerd culture and things, like, which I am. Did you notice the stormtrooper behind me? They're like, okay, you know, did you know that Disney owns Star Wars? Okay, like, yes, all right, you know. So, like, I actually been, like, well, because part of adulting is paying bills. And so you can't be careless about where you put funds and things like that. So, like, now, and to be honest, I think I'm actually going to get rid of one of my streaming services. Because right now, I have Netflix, Prime Video, and Disney Plus. And that, like, I would like, well, that, and I mean, like, I have internet access, so YouTube, which I consider, this is the great grandfather of streaming services, YouTube, you know? So, I mean, I want to keep it at around 3 or less. I know that there's HBO Max, I know that there's Hulu, and there's a lot of options for, like, movies and TV shows with that, but I don't want to be someone who, I only have my streaming services because I don't want a cable bill, you know? But if you stack up, because there's a lot of specialties too that, let me see, like, because I said, like, HBO Max, Hulu, Paramount Plus, Apple TV, there's a lot that they, like, and they add up, you know, and they're like, I don't want that to be, like, my streaming services to just be a different cable bill of sorts, you know. But yeah, I recently subscribed to Disney Plus. There's a lot of, like, stuff for, like, a nerd such as myself to watch and appreciate on there, like, currently. And I'm not gonna even attempt a review of season 1 as of right now, but I am watching Andor, and it's if you've heard about Andor but you have not seen it and you have Disney Plus, give it a chance. It's not the Star Wars that we're all familiar with. And I love my space samurai. I do. But it is nice to have a refreshing palate cleanser every now and again, you know, between courses of all of the media that they are putting out. So yeah, I can't bring myself to do, like, even, like, an attempt, because right now, as of the time of the filming of this episode, they're up to episode 8. But I will say, as it is of right now, I am in agreement with a majority of the positive praise for this show. I think I'm very much enjoying it, and so and as of right now, I would recommend it. So hopefully season 1 doesn't have this, like, totally doesn't have a terrible finale that just makes it like, oh, I can't believe I endorsed this. We've all been fooled. We've all been fooled in the, okay? It doesn't matter what type of, you could be into rom-coms, you can be into, like, drama, you can be into documentaries, like, what? But, like, you know, like, when it comes to these type of series, it's like, hey, you know, like 9 episodes are, like, gems, and then, like, the finale just, like, it just drops an anvil on, like, everything. I'm like, what? So anyways, I'm hoping it doesn't go there. Like, yes, it is part of the prequel, like, I guess, like, the prequel sphere. There's so much, like, prequels, but this is also not focused on apologetics. And what I mean by that is, like, I feel like a lot of Star Wars media in general is mostly just guided and navigated by the need to explain something about something that nerds picked up on and nitpicked at and pointed out and said, oh, that doesn't make sense. So and there's a lot of like damage control and coverage for stuff like the Star Wars, the Clone Wars, Rebels, the Bad Batch, Tales of the Jedi. And like I'm not gonna use this as my opportunity to anyways, okay, so like whatever. Like one of the first things I saw when I got Disney Plus was Visions. Wonderful creative anthology. Just I think it's like 9 episodes. I have not seen like all the way through because I don't want to binge all of it and then like it's just like okay like one season 2. Visions is not really like something that you can just like do like regularly. I don't think. Yes, they did contract a number of very creative anime studios, and they all I haven't come across anything that has disappointed me, and I'll put like that. Okay, but Andor is very much its own thing, and yes, we know where the road eventually leads. Yes, we do, but without spoilers, because and I don't think that this constitutes a spoiler. This aside from just the story of Cassian Andor, played wonderfully by Diego Luna. It's also the stories of the rebel networks that were leading up to Rogue One and Star Wars: A New Hope. The very first. Yes, I know chronologically, whatever. It's like the Phantom Menace Episode 1. Whatever. Okay, just like a Star Wars: A New Hope. Okay, Episode 4. Fine. But yeah, to just show the establishment of the Rebel Alliance and the Rebel networks, it really has been a wonderful watch as of like right now. So. But like, yeah, there's not like too many, like there's only a few weeks left. They're in the quarterfinals of the Great British Baking Show. And that's, I feel bad saying that because I mean, it's going to be like about 5 to 6 months before we can see like another one. But like, yeah. So, I mean, like that's a show. That's another show that I've been watching like fairly like closely. But, aside from that, I also it's sort of like my wrap up. Like how did I spend like Halloween? I spent Halloween carving pumpkins with my dad. We had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun doing that. And actually, let me see. And this is probably not even like something that will even like show up clearly like on this. But yeah, we set up. Like in my parents' like kitchen, right? We set up a little sort of like display, and yes, because this is like not how technology works, but like they the one on the far left was my work. The one on the far right was carved by my dad, and we just like set up that. We set up like their dining room like table as kind of like a sort of like an ad hoc display sort of thing. That was fun. We watched our big 3. Like there's certain like Halloween specials that we revisit every single year since I was a kid, and we revisit, and that's part of our tradition. Like now, like yeah, I'm an adult, but part of being adult, I'm also saying is like you're just typically nostalgic. It's just something that's like a new attitude that you just like generally sort of like build over time, is that you're just very kind of like nostalgic. And so yeah, I spent my Halloween with them. Like Halloween fell on a Monday, which I'm not gonna lie, that kind of sucks because like for a number of reasons, mostly like work related. I probably would have taken like Monday off just to kind of like do more running around and having a little bit more fun, but understandably, it wasn't in the cards. I did get Friday off, so actually like my management team was actually very generous with that, and it was with regards to something. I mean, it was just not not anything bad, but it was like, I requested that Friday off for kind of like personal reasons that I will not get into like right here and now. But I still, just as a means of like rejuvenating, and that was, like, and that was like the primary purpose. That weekend, our local library did a free screening of actually one of my favorite Halloween films called The Curse of the Demon. Actually, to be honest, there's two versions of this film, and it's Curse of the Demon and Night of the Demon. Curse of the Demon was the American release of this film, and there was the British release, which is much more complete. When I say much more complete, it's about 12 minutes, and no, that doesn't sound like a whole lot, but those 12 minutes do provide a good amount of storytelling. And it's about this, he calls himself a parapsychologist. Who goes to England to unmask the fraudulent practices of one Mr. Julian Carswell, who runs a very sizable satanic cult in England. Julian Carswell has established himself as sort of like more of a gentry than anything else, and he doesn't like for his activities to be well known like by the public. People just kind of know him as an eccentric, wealthy man. How did he make his money? Well, okay, not in the stock market. I'll put it to you that way. But this American parapsychologist, he comes to expose. He's very skeptical of him. He comes to expose him and his cult in their ways. While he is on this, this journey, this endeavor, he is cursed. He is cursed, and that's like the eponymous curse of the demon. It was nice. They give us these little placards. I survived the curse of the demon, with just as a complimentary tchotchke. They also included, and I'm fairly certain, they included a copy of the runic script. But don't worry, it's not going to do anyone any harm, because the runes, and this is based on the story that the film was based off, the runes have to be passed in secret. You cannot know about it. But this was like a little freebie for several of us that went to join. And yes, I realized that this, I just showcased the limits of technology with my phone. But there was this selfie poster that they actually had in the community room, where you could do a selfie with a poster of the monster. Let me see. Try to do as best as possible. And this was mine. This was my horrified, terrified look. It was me a little bit more casual. But yeah, so I mean, it was a nice little addition to my afternoon, and there was a lot going on this weekend, especially with Dia de los Muertos and that. So I mean, it was a fun weekend. A fun weekend. Was able to spend time with friends and family, which was nice. So yeah, but it's coming to a close. October. I mean, it is closed. I'm talking about this in November. So anyways, but I. Also, because last time I did this, I clued you all in onto just different interests and different activities. So, I mean, because, and I know that there are some purists out there that it's well, you can't just spend all your time watching TV and movies and that. It's that's true. You do need a break. I'm a bit of a bibliophile. I usually it's very rare where I don't read something before going to sleep. There have been times where I've had 4, 5, 6 books just in my bed, because I have a very short attention span. A majority of what I read is anthologies, but every now and then I will come across something very, very special, and I. For full novels and that. But yeah, just I like my books and whatnot. So I recently picked up something when I was on out and about a couple of weeks ago. A Venom Dark and Sweet by Judy Lin. And I will summarize from just the inside of the front jacket. The banished prince has returned to seize power. His rise to the dragon throne aided by mass poisonings that have kept the people bound in fear and distress. Nin, a young but powerful wielder of magic using the ancient and delicate art of tea making, has escorted Princess Sen into exile. Joining them is the princess' royal bodyguard, Ruyi, and Nin's newly healed sister, Shu. Together, the four young women travel throughout the kingdom in search of allies to help oust the invaders and take back Zhen's rightful throne. But the Golden Serpent still haunts Nin's nightmares with visions of war and bloodshed. Even an evil far more ancient than pretty conflicts, the petty conflicts of men has awoken, and all the magic in the land may not be enough to stop it from consuming the world. Now, aside from my sort of like clumsy and stilted attempt to read the inside jacket, this has been a very interesting, refreshing sort of like fantasy adventure. What really got my attention about this, also just the description of the type of magic that the main like character uses with tea, like abracadabra, Expelliarmus, like tea is a medium. Like the wonderful thing about fantasy is that it's so flexible and malleable, you know. And I would never have thought of that as like a medium. But yet, but why not? You know, there's no rule that says a unicorn can't be purple or anything like that. But why not tea as the conduit for the fantastic, for the unknown? You know, I'm not gonna lie. The main thing that got my attention was this gorgeous cover. And let me see if I can get the jacket illustration. And I very much apologize. I very much apologize if I am mispronouncing the name. I do try my best to try to get my names right, because my name was constantly deliberately like butchered when I was growing up, but people thought that it was too exotic. It's 4 letters. But it was far too hard. Too hard for people to pronounce correctly, so whatever. But that's why I take it as a personal, I do try to get people's names correct. But the jacket illustration is by Shija Hong, and this is wonderful. This. And yes, I realize that, just seeing it even on an HD webcam, you can't really get the full impact there. But that's what jacket illustrations are for. They are to get the interest of a prospective reader or a customer. And that's what, back in the day, in the time of our grandparents, where paperbacks were all the thing, you would have artists with established careers. All they ever did was paperback covers. That was it, And something they might not know about me is that I really do have an appetite for art. My family is a very artistic family. And so as far as a talent go, if I can claim any type of fine arts or any type of cultural arts, mine is musically, it's vocally. But they're my uncle on my mother's side is a professional artist, and it's just there are artists in our family, and so I just kind of have that natural appetite for it, and because I'm a big old nerd, and because I like my all things fantasy and sci-fi related. I do enjoy. I have several volumes of the Spectrum series. Now, for those of you who are unaware of the Spectrum series, uh, that it is a. I want to say is. I may have to say was, unfortunately, but a compendium of the best in contemporary fantastic art. I say fantastic art, but like it's fantasy, it's science fiction, editorial, things like that, like comic book, things like that. That you have artists in here. You have artists in here. You have Jean-Ju Palancar. You have Paul Bonner. You have Omar Ryan. You have Android Jones. Oh my God! I've several prints from Android Jones, this magnificent digital artist, and I mean just like Frank Cho. Like there's so many. Donato Giancarlo. Ooh, Donato Giancarlo. For those of you who do not know, like what this man does with oil, the way he's able to make it's a luminosity of it, which is with oil paint. Paul Bonner, the things that Paul Bonner could do with okay, and admittedly I should have earmarked a Paul Bonner illustration because he is a regular feature in these collections, and you would not believe what this man can do, what he's capable of with watercolors of all things. Watercolors are known for very sort of like placid tones, for pastoral, picturesque, sort of like natural, depictions of the natural world. Oh, I refuse to believe that. There is no way that Paul Bonner is not featured, like here. That is. I refuse to believe this. Maybe I'm railing against heaven. I don't know. Like, okay. Un momentito. And I'm back. The power of jump cuts. Anyways, but this is a watercolor. This is Midlander by Paul Bonner, and this berserker warrior astride a Clydesdale or a Belgian. I'm not particularly one for like horse breeds per se, but like this powerful warhorse. This is a watercolor, and just like, but like, yeah. So you think of like watercolors, and you think of these very like peaceful, casual, just very enchanting, sort of like natural, just like portrayals of the natural world. But like what this man can do is incredible, and the Spectrum series in and of itself is just a marvel. As of right now, only 27 have been produced. The last couple of years, understandably, have been difficult on a number of like professions, and the arts are not excluded, unfortunately. Just because of the tribulations and the chaos of the last couple of years, there have not been volumes 28 or 29 released. Which makes me think that either in 2023, maybe 2024, there might be there might be 2 volumes released in 1 year, because the art goes on, but it's just the collaboration, the networking. I mean, it was just like a lot of things just were just, yeah, it was extremely difficult. So like, to just maintain these connections. So they haven't released anything beyond 27. But I love my fantasy art, and I've been buying these. I've been collecting them for years, and sometimes I just like right before I go to bed to just drink in this like these wonderful art pieces. But like, yeah, so I mean, like this is the newest book that I've yeah, like ADD. What can I say? Bouncing back and forth between this, like, this wonderful art. The artist, I have no doubt, has a wonderful career in front of them. So just like, yeah, just because this has to be digital, like a digital oil fusion. I would imagine, but it's wonderful. The story is great, but I realized getting a few chapters into this is a sequel to something. Like, admittedly, like, yeah, and I'm not gonna like torture you all by trying to read the inside jacket yet again. However, like, okay, like, even when I read that, it felt like, oh, okay, you can kind of like reading this. It felt so easy to just kind of fall into it without having to read the previous like novel. I thought it was a standalone. And yes, that like on the front cover, they do mention, a magic steeped in poison. And that's the first book like in here. I started reading this, kind of had to put myself on pause. And also I'm gonna have to I have to order the very first one because my local, like, neither branch of my local libraries have this in stock. I went to our one bookstore. Yes, one. There's 5 Walmarts where I live, y'all. Just connect the dots. It's like, yes, I shop at Walmart, and yes, I read. Okay, so wasn't trying to light like a fire for anyone. It was like, okay, like we have one bookstore. And they did not have it like in stock. They offered like a back order type thing, but I was like, I'm just gonna go through like the usual route, to be honest. But yeah. So I mean, it's a very interesting story, and now this has gotten to like 37 like minutes. So this is definitely one of the longer ones that I've done. But yes, thank you very much for joining me here on Movie Ninja. This is episode 2 of Hello Again. I now have the access to the community tab. So in general, I'm going to keep y'all, I'm going to be posting just like, messages like through the community tab of stuff that I have going on or things that I will cover in the foreseeable future, things like that. I recently put out there to the communities, like, okay, like if I was to do something kind of like a weekly sort of like chat, sort of like video, would people be interested in that? One of my most faithful followers, Justin from Justin Talks Film, said yes, so that's all I needed. There we go. So like, okay, I will do my best to try to make this a week by week occurrence. Thank you for, if you've stayed with me through this nearly 40-minute like rambling. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And let me know, like, what are you guys watching right now? What are you watching? What are you reading? Reading. Or do you prefer like audiobooks? Last month I listened to the audio of The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. It's one of my favorite October like stories, But like, yeah, what are y'all watching? What are y'all into like right now? How are you transitioning from autumn into like winter? Let me know in the comment section. I appreciate it. But thank you very much for joining me here on Movie Ninja, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.